Hello, guys. I think I am now live. This is the launch of the FAATT Framework. I've been so excited to get this on the road. We've been working on it for many months internally, and it's been something which I realized a few weeks ago. I think a lot of people really need this. So we've been working really hard behind the scenes, making sure the program is as good as we can make it, but make it as short as we can as well, because iOS 14 has caused so much disruption for a lot of people. I know a lot of you have done really well as well, and it's not all doom and gloom, but at the same time, I noticed that a lot of people were kind of going to these third-party softwares and paying $300, $600 a month, and for the most part weren't able to actually improve their ad performance. And I was one of them. I installed a few of these different third-party platforms, partly to figure out if it's going to be useful, partly to see what's actually going on under the hood. And to be honest, in most cases, you don't need them. And that made me realize that there has to be something else out there. I've spent months talking to Facebook about what they're doing, how they can actually help. And you know how it is. They're just, it's a broken system internally in terms of communications and what people are doing. So that's why I put this together. And I wanted to show you the inner workings of what we've actually put together. I'm going to share my screen shortly, so hopefully I can show you inside the training program. It is a set of videos, and what I've done is to break down, the Facebook ads, attribution, and tracking trinity. The FAATT framework is about those two parts of Facebook advertising. So on the one side, you've got data. So we're talking about tracking, the tracking trinity, which I'll talk through. Then we have analysis, which comes from attribution. So that's the attribution trinity. And what I wanted to do is break that down into the most simplest format that, honestly, if I can understand it, I think most people can. And I think that's where my teaching comes from, is I like to be as simple as I can in my own explanations for myself and for my team. And then it's easier for me to kind of share that with other people. So I know, we had a beta launch a few weeks ago. People loved it. They said amazing feedback on it. And I think they're blown away, not just by the content, but also how easy it is to understand. And hopefully you'll see that as well. There's a question here that says, how long does it take to implement? How often do you have to use it? So first of all, implementation, you could do it within hours. Really, it's to do. So here's the thing. If I talk about the tracking side of things, the trinity that I talk about is three things. So trinity is three. First of all is the browser pixel. Now, by default, most of you will have that running, but the question is it set up properly? So that's what I focus heavily on, and making sure that you have set up your browser pixel properly. Then I talk about the server pixel. What is the server pixel? That's CAPI, Conversion API. So technically it's not server pixel, but I just find it easier to explain that on one hand, you have a browser pixel that fires on the user's browser. On the other hand, you have a server pixel which fires on your server. So that's CAPI and browser. And that's the second part of making sure you're giving Facebook enough data. And the third part, if you've been following my group and my emails, you'll be aware of, is offline conversions. Now, there are a few unknowns from Facebook, as well as people like myself and people a lot more experienced and technical with the kind of system. But the fact is, and when you see the way we've broken down on offline conversions, it can make a huge difference to your insights. And bringing those three things together, I believe, take you probably 80% of the way back to where Facebook used to be. And I won't share too much, that's for you to go into the training and find out. It doesn't solve all of the iOS 14 problems. Nothing will. None of these third-party tools do either. But it will take you a long way then. And the biggest thing about this is, if you're exploring a third-party tool, maybe you've already got one. There's many out there. And if it's working for you, that's amazing. You should continue doing it. But I've designed this as a zero-cost way for someone to actually look at attribution and tracking. So once you've joined my program, then I will show you how to implement it for yourself. So then you have no monthly costs. So for example, agencies and freelancers, which makes up about 60% of our kind of training clients, it will allow you to get this installed for all of your clients at zero cost. You will come across as a far better practitioner of Facebook advertising, because things will work so much better. You'll beat your competition and all that kind of stuff. And if you're doing it for your own campaigns, you'll be able to take control and actually get back to having better insights and ability to understand what's going on, than it is right now just using Facebook on its own. So that's really kind of on the tracking side, what we've focused on. But then there's the attribution side of it as well. So it's all fine that you're giving Facebook all the data and it's understanding your campaigns and optimizations. But then what do you do about figuring out what to do with the data? And that's where the attribution trinity comes in. So the first part of that is Facebook ads and ads manager. The second part is Google Analytics. I rely heavily on Google Analytics. In fact, up until Facebook got really, really good around 2015, I was focusing a lot more on Google Analytics, and in a funny way, I'm doing what I am doing now as I was doing back in 2015. But then around 2015, things on Facebook became so much better, and I didn't really need Google Analytics. But guess what? Google Analytics has always been there, and it's been amazing. So I'll go deep into how I set up GA, so you can actually read the same data you see in Ads Manager in Google Analytics. You can see campaigns, ad sets, and ads, but it goes further than that. You can also see the click path data. Now, if there's one thing I've been pushing Facebook for the last 3-4 years, it's been the ability to look at every part of your funnel and see where people are clicking. So if someone clicks my top of funnel cold ad, but they convert through my retargeting hot campaign, Facebook just says, hey, this hot campaign is an amazing ROAS, but I know that doesn't exist without top of funnel. Well, guess what? You can see that in Google Analytics. And it's quite amazing that I've been using this for many, many years. And I show people it, and as I've done more recently, and they're blown away by it. And I realize that actually it's not actually that well known. So just imagine now with the kind of click path analysis on Google, you can see someone's clicked top of funnel, they've clicked retargeting, maybe they've clicked another retargeting ad, maybe they've come through email. And you can see that exact journey. And guess what? A lot of these third-party tools will tell you that you have to pay $300 or $600 a month to be able to see this amazing click path data. And yeah, they might be that much more accurate. So, rather than being 80% accurate, it's 100% accurate. And that's down to you. There's nothing wrong with going for these third-party tools and making sure you're tracking absolutely everything. But I'd argue that unless you're making 3, 4, 5 million a year in annual revenue, and you're running multiple traffic channels, multi-channel marketing, you can use GA to achieve much of what you'd want to get. So the second part that I focus on the attribution trinity is Google Analytics. And the third one is Shopify. Now, you can replace out Shopify for other systems, but specifically for Shopify, they've released something that allows you to plug into the FAATT framework. So the FAATT framework is making sure you've set up your tracking properly on all your data, installing a free template that I give you for Google Analytics you can use for analysis, and then you can see that in Shopify as well. And this is all at no cost. Like, you just join the program and it's all there. And once you're able to see it in Shopify, it opens up new opportunities. So, for example, I show you how, based on our top of funnel campaigns that we're converting, we can see individual products that were purchased. How does that help? Well, for a multiple product store, if we're running multiple creatives top of funnel, knowing exactly which product people are ultimately buying, I can shift my creative to match that as well. So that's just part of the insights, especially for ecom, that you can actually start to understand things better, so that you can actually look at data not just in one place in Ads Manager, but look in multiple places. Now, Shopify, for example, is your source of truth if you're running ecom. Google Analytics has far more data than Facebook, but Facebook still has data that you should be looking at. So I'm combining different parts, and every decision I make on Facebook is looking at least 2 data sources. So I don't just look at Facebook anymore. I could get away with it, in 2020, 2019, I could just look at Facebook and make some decisions and things would be good, but that doesn't work so well right now as well. So once you kind of pull that together, you can start making better decisions. So, going back to how long does it take to implement, you can implement all of this in a few hours, but then the data needs to be collected. That takes days and days for the data to start collecting, so you can actually see the insights, and then for you to learn how to interpret that data and do something with it as well. Because it's not just a case of, you're going to join the program and automatically it just downloads into your brain and you're amazingly good at the FAATT framework. You have to put the time in. I would say, in terms of learning this, you need a few hours. So you need a few hours to go through the videos, go through the implementation. I would say, depending on your skill level, if you're less experienced, it might take 3 or 4 hours. If you're experienced, probably a few hours. And if you are experienced, you'll skip through a lot of it because it's that I don't think a lot of it is designed to be completely groundbreaking, especially the data setup, but it's more on the insight stage. So if your data setup's done, that will save you about an hour of work. You can go straight into analysis as well. So what I'm going to do is share my screen here so you can see inside the training. Let's see if I can actually do that. So here it is. And the reason I wanted to show you, and I'll just refresh it to make sure it's there, got the updates in there. What I'm going to show you is the structure that I've set up for this so that you can follow the path through. And we've made it as streamlined as we could. And over time, we may replace, parts of the training out, update it, etc., as need be. But right now, this is pretty much what we've been working on internally for the last kind of 3 to 6 months. And it's designed to give you step-by-step instructions. Now, for example, you might be a complete master and ninja with a browser pixel. That's amazing. Skip it. You might be a master at CAPI, might be also, you're doing well with offline conversions. That whole section, if you want to skip it, that's absolutely fine. Just make sure you understand what the actual tracking trinity is. So if you're going to skip all of this, at least go through the intro video to understand what this is and how it all comes together to decide if you are actually advanced or not. And I'd argue, even if you think you're advanced, it's still worth looking at some of the offline conversion stuff. So once you've got your data set up, then we go into the attribution trinity. So, I give you an example here as well as the explanation. And then you can see here, there's a fairly sizable part on the Google Analytics tracking setup. So there's a free template that I give you. You literally log into Google Analytics, download the template straight from the host, which I've hosted on Google's own website, into your ad account. And then you just do a few configurations and it's there. Once you've got that, then you can start looking at the analysis. So assisted conversions, top conversions, and the Shopify. And I've also thrown in some bonus items as well, explaining in detail how attribution works, talking about some of the insights and misunderstandings with iOS 14 in the funnels and funnel setup, how to bypass some of those limitations, and there'll be a Q&A there as well. So really, I've tried to keep this as streamlined as possible. Don't be fooled by the quick walkthrough here. There's a lot of depth, and I've tried to keep those into short videos, so it kind of gives you the time you need back to work on implementations as well. So that's really giving you the insights as to kind of what you're getting inside, so that you can start thinking about, first of all, what your priorities are. And I would start there. Like, don't just start with video 1 and video 2 and go through it. Look at the whole thing and figure out where you are and what your challenges are. Maybe it's all the way through, and that's absolutely fine. Go through it step by step, make sure you've not missed anything. Maybe your data's all set up, you want to just jump straight into Google Analytics. That's also fine as well. So I'm just looking to see if there's any other questions I missed here as well. So Facebook user says, is IP tracking in this calls for cross-device tracking? So IP tracking, when you're talking about tracking people across multiple devices, you can do that with offline conversions. You can get the breakdown data for that as well. If you're talking about technical enhancements to Facebook, Google Analytics, and Shopify, which if you've already got, and there's no additional costs. This isn't a software. This isn't a something that I've coded that you install a pixel and things like that. I'm showing you how to get the same level of insights that we use in the agency, at no additional cost. So, I looked at developing my own pixel, my own tracking, and starting to compete with all these other tools. But then I realized for 80% of what you need, you don't need that. So, if you're doing cross-device tracking, there are other ways to do that with the built-in tools within Facebook as well. Facebook only, also PPC and shopping. This is 100% focused on Facebook. However, once you've been through the Google Analytics part of it, you will realize that it can also work across every other channel that can be tracked on Google Analytics as well, which includes paid search and shopping. It will need some tweaks, and over time, we'll update or introduce some new templates for those other channels if it makes sense. But right now, it's all to do with Facebook, because the goal is right now, we're still having great success with Facebook. I know from looking at my community, there are still challenges on making Facebook work. So that's my goal, is to get you in a position where Facebook is working for you again. Will there be a replay as I need to go soon? Yeah, absolutely. Once this live's done, it'll be posted wherever the live's posted, because I think we're in multiple places right now as well. Which feature in Shopify allows for that to be possible? So I can ask a similar platform if they have that feature. I'm pretty sure that other platforms won't have this feature. So in Shopify, it's a marketing report. So if you go into marketing reports, it's there. But the way we configure our tracking allows you to take advantage of that. So it's not a built-in tool that you can just go into Shopify and just make it work. You have to integrate it into the FAATT framework. So I would probably encourage you to go through the training and figure out if that could be working for another platform as well. So whilst I'm here, the other question that came up, so will you showcase how did the offline conversion setup? Yeah, so I cover offline conversion setup in there as well. So the other thing I wanted to cover, and I'm going to share my screen again, is to announce the winner of the competition for interpreting the data that I shared. But also I'm going to go through some of the comments because there's some really good insights and maybe a few misunderstandings as well. So let me just share my screen again. So in the Facebook Ads Experts Academy group, I shared this, which was just sharing some insights. And some people got it, some people didn't. Let me explain what's going on here. And this will give you something of a taste as to what's going on in the FAATT framework as well. The reason I only showed 2 columns is because the first column here is pixel-based data. So remember, I talked about the tracking, tracking trinity, which was the browser pixel, the server pixel, and offline conversions. Website purchases here covers the browser pixel and the server pixel, so CAPI. So we don't have breakdown data for our pixel data. So I can't see where that revenue has come from. This is offline conversions that have been uploaded on this account. And guess what? I can see the breakdowns. So here, for example, I can see that 23K came specifically through Facebook and on the iPhone device. Now, if you've followed the iOS 14 changes, middle of, was it May or June 2021, you'll know that breakdowns were removed for pixel-based data. And I don't think people quite read that properly because Facebook only said they will change it for the pixel, not for offline conversion. So if you upload those offline conversions and they match data in your account, guess what? You can see breakdowns depending on what data you've sent back. So for example, on this account, I couldn't see age or gender because this was downloaded and uploaded from Shopify. We don't have gender and we don't have age. If you have that data, then you can see it in the breakdowns. And the other thing about this was that the majority of the data that was tracked was iPhone. Now we know for this particular client, iPhone is about 60%, or iOS devices, maybe 55, 60%. So when I look at this data and I say, right, is this incremental sales or is there a high crossover? This is incremental because this is tracking a lot of the sales that were missed from the Pixel and also missing sales that had gone beyond 7 days. Because guess what? Offline conversions goes up to 28 days click conversion. And for this client, we know that people buy 10 days, 2 weeks later. So we're actually capturing far more data that goes back into our decision making than we can by the pixel alone. This alone, for probably 70 to 80% of businesses, could make the biggest difference, because now all of a sudden you can attribute actually what's happening at the ad set, at the ad, and at the campaign level across your different breakdowns and make decisions on the data as well. So there's quite a few comments here. I'm going to pull out the different feedback that came through. So iOS attribution, definitely. Attribution for iOS, so it can offline conversions be trusted. So I hope I've answered that. That's something I recommend you test. So you should upload the data, look at the columns side by side, and then look at your backend data. For this client, for example, I know that pre-iOS 14, they would track far more data. Post-iOS 14, they lost about 60% of data. So by using offline conversions, we were able to actually bring that back as well. So conversions are still happening despite them not being reported. You should be uploading your offline conversion data to Ads Manager so Facebook can match customer data to people seeing, clicking the ad. Bingo. Like, that's the third response that came through. That's exactly it. Now, with offline conversions, you can track revenue. You can upload, you can create custom audiences against that data, and you can create lookalikes against that data. So I hope you understand the power of that, because if we talk about Pixel and we talk about the changes, and this is part of the bonuses I talk about in the program where I explain some of the funnel changes and the changes you should be making based on the data. If your retargeting has suffered since iOS 14, well, guess what? If Facebook is not recording that data in the pixel, you don't have that data to retarget to. But what if you had offline conversion data and you could create custom audiences of existing customers and also lookalike audiences from that as well? But also the pixel, the way it tracks data now has changed. And that's something which I explain on how to immediately improve your retargeting by updating your exclusion and targeting in the way that we do it. And our retargeting hasn't been impacted in the same way. So that's something that I recommend that you do understand and you follow through with. Because again, what I'm trying to share with you is all of these solutions don't cost you any more ongoing money. Like it's in Facebook. You need to change the way you do your media buying. You need to change the way you kind of interpret and see that data so that you can actually get the best out of it as well. So people are absolutely sleeping on offline conversions. iOS showing biggest revenue, yeah. See that data, offline conversion tracks iPhone, fed back to Facebook, so it can give leverage to performance. So these are all great answers. If I'm going to pick one person that hit the nail on the head, Crystal, if you can get in touch, we'll send you over full access to the FAATT Framework. If you've bought it, we'll refund. If you haven't bought it, we'll give you full access as well. So like that's the key thing here, and that's what I wanted you to take away is don't see this as I need to install a new piece of software and things like that. This is once you get the training and you go through it, you're going to install it all yourself for your business, for your client's business, for however many businesses you want. There's nothing like get into the program, get into the training, get into the Q&A as well. For those that are joining before we end the launch, you'll also have a 90-minute Q&A. You can bring all those questions, and I'm giving you a week or so to actually get through the learnings, the installation, so you can actually figure out what your biggest pain points are, and we'll work through those as well. Is there a way to automate uploading of offline purchase conversions? Yes, there is, and yes, I cover that. A lot of people use Zapier, a lot of people use other third parties, but it's absolutely available. Does offline conversions data get fed back into algorithm if it's attributed to ads? So when you're at the ad level, you'll notice in some cases that an offline conversion set has been created by default. So that can be selected to optimize against as well. So that when Facebook is tracking that data, you can choose where you want your optimizations to be done. Do you want it done on the pixel data, which is offline, server, pixel, and browser? Or do you want it done on the offline data? And you can choose between the two. At the moment, I don't believe you can have both, but that can be something you can look at as well. So hopefully that answers your curiosities into what the Facebook ads attribution and tracking trinity actually is. It's a framework. It's something you can go in and install. Obviously, we do it for our clients, and we can also do it for you guys if you want us to do it. But it'll allow you to take full control of your data and your insights so that you will look amazing to your clients. You'll get great results for your own business, whatever you're running. And finally, I hope you'll be able to build momentum back into Facebook. And that's the key thing here, because we've carried that momentum through. Yes, there was a slight blip around May 2021 when iOS 14 landed, but we quickly put all the right things in place and we've been fine. Like everything's been good since then. I want you guys to experience that. And that's why we've done this launch. We've done it at an impossibly low, stupidly low price just to get you guys in, experience what's going on, and hopefully send us some amazing wins, testimonials, and case studies, because that's the thing we thrive on as well. So guys, appreciate you joining me for the live. The link to join, I think I'm going to add it back into the chat. I think it was there somewhere as well, but it's in the it's in the comments. Really looking forward to you seeing your feedback and hearing what transformation it's made. Because when we went through our beta launch with 25 people, the feedback was just unbelievably good. So that's given me confidence that you guys are going to find it amazing as well. Appreciate you. Have a great Black Friday weekend. Relax, have fun, do what you need to hit those numbers. And some of this you can actually get in place before Black Friday as well. So just make sure that you're able to at least get into the training and start implementing today. If I could have launched it earlier, I would have loved to, but getting the actual pieces together, creating the whole structure so you can just go in and just kind of run through it took a little bit more time, but hopefully that gives you an opportunity to get some results and get ready for an amazing next 12 months as well. So guys, have a great start of your day, end of your day, wherever you are, and we will see you soon.